Welcome to the 91st episode of the Nerdom and Other Nonsense Anime Podcast. Today we'll be breaking down anime that aired during the fourth week of the spring 2019 season. As per usual, we include timestamps in the description of the YouTube video and podcast feed if you only want to hear about one or two specific shows, since we will spoil everything and Kat will yell at you if you cry about it. My name is Leo, and while video may have killed the radio star, but luckily for us, nothing's killed podcast yet. Also with me are Bcom and Kat.
Yeah.
What will kill podcasts off?
They can try to fucking kill podcasts. No one is going to kill podcasts now.
I feel like
we're like the cockroaches of the entertainment industry.
Podcasts will always exist, no matter what. They find a way to survive.
Honestly, trying to think about that, I don't know what would.
Like, okay, there could be a zombie apocalypse, right? Mm-hmm. You know that no TV shows are airing anymore. But you can be damn sure that someone will be in their basement recording a podcast about the zombie apocalypse and sending it out. You know that that's true.
Day 42 of the zombie apocalypse. The zombies are still here. I watched Game of Thrones for the 97th time today.
That would actually be good. What'd you call it? Zombie pod?
Zombie pod. I bet you somebody has done this. Like,
oh, yeah.
There's so many of those like alt-reality story podcasts. Mm-hmm. I assume somebody's out there like making a doomsday podcast like at the end of the world.
Way more than one, dude. There's probably quite a few out there.
Okay, we have to just promise each other that if there is a zombie apocalypse, that we'll all get on our horses, get together, like be in the same, like, you know, safe house or whatever, and fucking record a zombie pod. Every week we'll like release a thing of anime and a thing of how to survive the zombie apocalypse.
We have so much time to watch all the anime in our backlog. Oh, it'd be so great.
It would be.
By the way, listeners, if you're noticing any different audio quality with Kat's audio, she got a new microphone.
Holy shit, I did, yes.
Same one I use.
Yeah.
Very good mic.
It was actually pretty sad because I was talking with Leo. I was like, Leo, you have this. Where's the thing that you plug in? Where's the plug-in part? And you're like, it's on the bottom. And I'm like, what do you mean it's on the bottom? I don't see a hole. There's no hole. And he's like, there's like a cover. And so all I had to do was pull the cover off. And there's the fucking hole. I felt like a virgin. Like, you know, when you have sex for the first time. And you're like, where's the hole? Where's the hole?
And like I just said, we have the same mic now. So like, I'm like leaning backwards, looking at mine and going, it's definitely on the bottom. I can see it right in front of me.
New mic, new problems, but I'm sure it'll sound better. So that's very exciting.
Setup went pretty smooth too. It only took us a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Once Kat found all the right holes.
True.
So let's talk about some nonsense that we got up to this week. Leo, why don't you go first?
My new fave show to watch right now is Lucifer on Netflix.
Really?
I've been eyeing that. Tell me everything.
So basically, Lucifer decides to basically go on vacation, and he just comes to the real world, and he brings one of his demon girls with him, Maze. She is smoking hot. Kat, you're gonna fall in love with her. She's really funny too, and she's a super hardcore badass. But like, Lucifer he's kind of trying to do good, and but he's still like an arrogant asshole, and it's like charming in its own way, and like I guess I can kind of like live vicariously through him, so it's really cool. But and like the story's fucking ridiculous. Do not start breaking it down; you'll just destroy the show. But it's just really fun to watch for the characters. It has some really cool characters.
That's cool.
But yeah, okay, if you've been eyeing it, definitely check it out. And
yeah,
I was talking to some girls at work today about that. They're like, oh, well, so-and-so got the other one convinced to finally watch the show, and she binged it all weekend and made it to the 4th season. They're 40-minute episodes. They're fucking long.
Oh my God.
And I was like, what show? And they're like, Lucifer. I'm like, I'm watching it too.
Nice.
Well, what convinced me that I should try to check it out is they had like this ad where he's coming out of the pool and he's got like these amazing abs and he's just like, yeah.
That's what the girls were saying. They were like, he's super hot. And then even Maze, like I said, is his like top demon assistant. She is a hot, hardcore badass. So like there's all that. And the one that made it to season 4, she was telling me, I guess this was I think it was on Fox for the first 3 seasons. She said in season 4, you can tell Netflix bought it up because they lean a lot more towards the R PG/mature rating. And I was like, that's awesome.
Oh my God. Yeah,
That's
no.
cool.
Yeah, there's
I'm
a bunch
down
of
for
good looking people in there.
Cool.
that. And sometimes that's all you need for a show, just to drool as you watch it for 40 minutes.
And sometimes you can do the complete opposite and still be entertaining. And this will eventually, by the way, get into Game of Thrones spoilers, but I'm going to start talking about something else, but it's going to like immediately get into Game of Thrones spoilers. So if you don't want those for the most recent episode of season 8, episode 5, you could probably skip to Fruits Basket. But I started watching the first episode of HBO's Chernobyl miniseries, which does not have any hot people in it. It is definitely not about like guys getting out of the pool with their abs glistening in the sun. It is way more about like, holy shit, the Chernobyl power plant has melted down and everything is going to shit because of bad decisions that were made on site. And nobody understands what's happening yet, and they're all like breathing in fucking radioactive ash that's falling from the sky and like exposing themselves to the open core of the nuclear reactor and like immediately dying. And it's really rough. That's a rough episode of TV to watch. But like very fascinating at the same time. But what I couldn't decide was whether that was more or less gory than the most recent episode of Game of Thrones.
Which was that episode 5?
5, yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
it was pretty fucking gory. Like, okay, it's about to get spoiler town.
Yeah.
The moment where she's like, oh, well, I guess I'm not going to pay attention to the fact that the bells are ringing and I'm just going to kill everyone in the fucking city.
Yeah. Got a little fire happy there.
I know. And I feel like I was watching it with some people and they're like, but this isn't really happening, right? Like, this is a fever dream or something. And I'm like, no, I think this is the show. It's just the way that they've chosen to end this season is so strange. I don't
saw
know.
on Twitter a lot of people unhappy with like the story writing. Like it's not good, and it's like really different than what it has been or something like that.
It is very different. The tone is very different. I feel like it's very rushed in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm. There's two main sticking points for people with it's like Daenerys and Jaime and their development in this episode, and how a lot of people think it runs like in conflict with their development that they've had over the previous 7 seasons. Though there's a lot of people who are like, no, they kind of set all this stuff up to happen this way. I do
think they probably set it up, but I think that they're getting there, and that last stretch was sped up too much. Like they jumped a few steps, kind of. And so it makes it a little jarring because they've been going at this very nice, like stately pace. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, if you speed it up really fast at the end, people are going to be a little unsettled, even if it actually is the way it was supposed to end.
Yeah.
Because I could totally see that being the way they intended Daenerys to end up, but like they sped it up a little too fast.
I could see that, yeah.
Yeah, I also think it's very interesting some of the mistakes they're making on set. This is the second time I've seen people commenting on like a mistake in one of the shots where like the first time they left a Starbucks cup on the set.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw that one.
And then I guess this week they forgot in one of the scenes to put his fake arm on, his fake hand.
Oh,
Jamie's.
Really?
And there's like a scene where you can see
his real hand? Oh man, that's bad. I didn't see that. Holy shit.
As he's hugging Cersei. And he's just got both hands. And they're like, oh, I guess his arm grew back right before he died.
That's amazing. I didn't see that at all. That's really awesome.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking, like, are they not editing this enough? Are they rushed? Like, are they having some issues? Which really shouldn't be happening with a show as popular as this, especially since they had so much time. I don't know.
Yeah, that seems like a problem that shouldn't happen. I mean, it's a longer than normal episode, but like still, like that shouldn't be happening, really.
I almost wonder if HBO sat down with the cast and was like, and everyone, like the directors, and was like, we cannot be putting as much money into this as we've been putting into this, and you need to cut
weren't they putting
losses.
multiple millions into each of these episodes?
Yeah, they put a lot of money into this season, so I don't know if that's it. It just seems like...
I think maybe they put them on a budget, though, whereas before I don't think they'd had as strict of a budget.
Maybe.
They were like, I think before they were like, this is your guideline. And now they're like, this cannot go over this amount. We're done pumping money into this.
Interesting. Well, it
That's
is the
my
end.
theory. I don't know. But.
Yeah. It's interesting. To me, I always think like, you don't put a character like the Targaryen family or like that type of family in a story if you're not gonna like shoot Chekhov's gun at the end and have them go mad and destroy everything. So like,
yeah,
I always kind of thought this might be coming because it's just the most interesting way to end things. But I'm really psyched for the last episode coming up next week.
I am too. Can we talk about the mountain's fucking face for a second? Like, holy shit, he totally is a zombie. Like, because they were very mysterious about like what actually happened to him.
Yeah.
I really liked that they revealed that and were like, yeah, he turned into a fucking zombie. Like, that was awesome.
And he had like maggots in like the wounds on his face. It was disgusting. Like,
and he,
I was like, please put your helmet back on.
Yeah, like he gets stabbed through the whole fucking head. And then he's like, oh, didn't matter. I can still fight. Like, that was badass.
Yeah. All right. Well, should we move on to actual anime?
Yeah, we can do that.
Might as well.
All right, we got the 4th episode of Fruits Basket, first season. So this was quite the interesting introduction for Kagura Soma to the show.
I love her already.
You like her a lot? For me, she's a little over the top.
Well, to me, I think she brought a lot of comedy that I felt like was missing from like the last episode. So really happy to see what kind of character she was.
I always wished that she would end up with Shigure because like he low-key has or maybe not even low-key, has like a serious thing for her. And couldn't you just imagine that? Like him being on calm and like, now, don't lose your temper. And like her being like, oh, you're so nice. And then being like, you've done this. And like, wouldn't that be cute?
I didn't realize that Shigure has a thing from her, at least from this episode.
Well, they did have like a moment where she says like, it's really hard for me to have, Kyo live with a girl under the same roof. Remember?
Yeah.
And then he has that moment where he's like, sometimes I get jealous too.
Oh.
And he like kind of like looks away into the distance.
Interesting. Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that. Yeah, so she like plays herself off initially as this like little shy moe little sister type. But then like she becomes like overcome with emotion that Kyo has finally like returned after 4 months. And when she like goes up to him and sees him, like she just gives him a fucking left hook to the face, sends him flying through the walls, and then she like runs outside and she starts like spinning him on her hand like pizza dough. Like it spins him so fast that she literally takes off like a helicopter. I was kind of laughing at that. That's pretty great.
It's so over the top. It is pretty so funny.
That's that like 2000s like slapstick stuff that it's fun to see again because it's like been a long time since I've seen that in an anime. So yeah. But apparently, like, she's actually, like, 2 years older than the other guys, despite not looking it at all. And then when Kagura stopped beating the crap out of Kyo, it's like she didn't even realize she was doing it. She was, like, under the impression that she's meant to be Kyo's future wife. And we see this flashback of a younger version of her holding 2 kitchen knives over him as she, like, forces him to give in to that request to, like, marry her.
I heard that was truer than the manga than the other remake.
Oh, really? They didn't have that in there?
I think she had a boulder, but in the manga it was the knives. I think I read that somewhere.
Yeah, they're being more true to the manga in this one, which I like.
That's cool. One of the reasons she wants to marry Kyo is because the members of the Zodiac don't transform when they hug each other, even if they're members of the opposite sex. And Shigure implies that sex would be basically impossible for a Zodiac member because, like, they would be transforming every single time as soon as they, like, basically touched each other intimately.
So you're telling me the only way this family can have a next generation is because they're constantly fucking each other?
No. Okay, that's not true, though. They do have kids with regular people. It's just that they have to be very careful while they fuck, which would suck, you have to admit. Like, imagine you can only do, like, certain positions and you have to be, like, super super careful the whole time.
Like you couldn't accidentally ever get one arm on each side of the body.
Yeah, you have to be like, we can't hug. I have to like hold on to the like bed frame, like very strategically.
And like, I don't think they're like a family in the traditional sense of that word. Like, they don't have the same mother and father, do they? Like, or they. I feel like they're just part of the zodiac family, kind of like that in that sense.
Well, they do have a mother and father, but like a lot of the families in there don't stay together very long, probably because it's a very straining. Like, there's one point in the manga where they talk about like a human who gives birth to a zodiac child will usually reject the child because they're born in their true form. So imagine like you give birth to like a baby monkey or something.
Baby boar.
So yeah, but like if Kagura has sex with Kyo, that's not incest, right?
Yeah, it'd be like marrying your cousin.
Okay.
So like kind of incesty, but like acceptable levels.
All right. That's
I will
good
say
enough for me.
Pleading a case of incest, they probably do have the best argument I've heard for that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like, well, but we don't have to accidentally change into animals during sex. Like, imagine you're fucking someone, and then all of a sudden that someone is like a snake or something, and you're like, oh no!
And I was like, what's their other option? Do they like turn into like, does like Kyo go have sex with cats? Like, is that what he's gonna do? Like, what? So yeah, I was like, I don't think that's happening. So okay. Kagura finds out that Toru might be like a potential rival for her with Kyo. And so she starts yelling about how she accepts everything about Kyo, even if he changes into his true form, which is kept mysterious for now. Kagura continues her competitiveness with Toru by cooking dinner. She cooks literally everything in the fridge, and she goes to get Kyo, who refuses to come eat. So she then pile drives him through the floor of his bedroom, which lands him directly on top of the dinner table, ruining all the food.
Gotta keep him in line.
It's a little over the top. Like, I can understand.
Like in real life, though, if you were to destroy someone's entire house by putting a giant hole from the second to the first story, they would just ask you to leave. They'd be like, you need to go now.
Well, Shigure is pretty chill with it. I mean, I don't know how many times the doors have been broken and the roof's been broken.
I mean, yeah. And he does want to bone her, so I get it. He wants to keep it chill.
I mean, this boils down to Kagura being worried that there's like a girl staying with Kyo, and Shigure telling her that like she can't live with them. I'm assuming because she would destroy the whole house if she lived with them. I don't know if there's another reason.
I really don't know why she's so worried, because like if you think about it, she should stop being so obsessed with him. I understand you love who you love. There's only 3 Zodiac girls. There's a lot more Zodiac guys than there are girls. This bitch is in high demand. Like, just sit back. Let them come to her.
That's not how it works, Kat. Love conquers all right, so. So yeah, Kagura goes off to the grocery store to like get replacement food, but forgot her money, but luckily Toru follows her there, and so they kind of bond on like the walk back, and Toru gets Kagura to calm down, saying like she's just a fan of the cat Zodiac and she always has been, but she's like humbled that Kagura has been friends with Kyo ever since she was a little girl. And when they get home, the girls like start cooking together, and then Toru like goes up to the roof to find Kyo, and tells him that like she thinks it's amazing that Kagura can love him so much, even just from a distance. And how a girl's ultimate dream is a marriage.
Oh my god, I almost died.
You mean after you were done vomiting on the keyboard?
I actually laughed like so hard I had to pause. I was like, ah! Like, yeah, I mean, to be fair, when this manga first came out, it was probably much more of an acceptable thing to say something like that. But oh man.
Times have changed a bit, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's true for some girls still, but like there's a lot of girls that's not their ultimate like dream. Yeah, it's
but if that's your ultimate dream, then you're gonna fall short in life. Like, it's one thing to be like, my thing is I want to make a home and have a family.
Yeah.
But you can't be obsessed with like just the marriage
in particular. Yeah.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
And so Kyo tells her, like, his martial arts training was with another one of the Somas in the mountains, and, like, it was really fulfilling for him. And Toru kind of realizes that Kyo doesn't just want to, like, defeat the Somas and be accepted by them. He also just really loves martial arts, and that's his passion. Kyo eventually comes to dinner where Kagura has cooked hamburgers, and she puts like a fried egg on his specially because when she first met him, he was like drawing a fried egg in the dirt on a playground. So it's like, oh, they have a little moment. And so, yeah, the next morning, Kagura has to go to leave. And of course, we still don't know precisely what member of the Zodiac she is. And then this unfortunate paper delivery guy shows up and accidentally bumps into her, like changing her. And then so Yuki like swoops in immediately and gets in this guy's face and just like glamours him with his good looks and seduction.
Well, doesn't he like glamour him like as magically he's propelled out the door and down the road?
Yes. That was actually really funny the way they animated that.
Yeah, he's like, as he like goes off into the distance.
Yeah. And so we learn Kagura is the boar, and she's really cute in boar form too. And she's like, you know, the single-minded member of the Zodiac who will like rampage over anything or anyone that gets in the way of what she wants. And so, yeah, at the very end of the episode, Toru gets a call from her grandfather at school and hints that she may have to move out. So that's a big cliffhanger, I guess, for next episode.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, I liked the boar, but like her antics were a little bit much for me. Like I'm one of those guys who actually kind of likes the violent tsundere trope. Like people like Aisaka Taiga from Toradora that others are just completely annoyed by, and it like ruins the show for them. Like I really like her, but this girl Kagura is just like so batshit insane when she goes off that I'm just like, and it's like so inconvenient. Like she's like literally destroying their house. And like destroying, I think it was really when she wasted all the food that I was upset. Actually, I was like, "Come on."
You would be Bcom. You're like, "Come on." I mean, destroy the entire house, sure, but the food.
You can't get that food back.
It looked really good.
Do you guys have any thoughts about this? Oh, the other thing I wanted to say is that I don't know if this is right. It's probably wrong. But, like, do you think Kyo's true form is, like, a tiger or something, since he's, like, the cat zodiac?
Yeah, that was actually my first thought, too, but I don't know.
He's got orange hair, too, so I don't know. I'm sure Kat probably knows, but...
Yeah, I can't tell you, because it'll ruin it.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I thought maybe that's it, but it could be something else.
If we are done with all that bright and cheeriness, how about we get a little dark and decrepit now?
Yay!
With JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Woo! What an episode. Episode 28, Beneath a Sky on the Verge of Falling. Bucciardi has Leone use his like stand or playback 15 years ago so that they can see who took the picture. It says it's going to take about 8 minutes, and Bucciardi's like, yeah, need it in 5. But in the meantime, Bucciardi and Narantia plan to go up on the cliff to make sure the person he shot is dead. And up top, Doppio is telling Risotto, God, the names of this show, to save it.
Doppio and Risotto.
I physically have to like slow down my speech so I get the names right.
Okay, no. See, the trick that I use is I pretend that I'm that I'm being really rude and I'm pretending to be an Italian person. And I just
wow, that is a stereotype. Holy shit.
And I imagine how I would say it then, and then I just make it sound more American so I'm not insulting.
Interesting. That's a long process to just say a word.
Okay, so Doppio is telling Risotto to save face and return the iron he stole from his blood back to him. Then he will kill him quickly so he doesn't have to like die slowly in front of Bucciardi and his gang who killed all his guys, you know? And like Risotto still has one final plan and uses his blood that got into Narantia's stand to control it? Did he just suddenly gain that ability?
Well, I guess it's like magnetized, so he can like use the magnetism to control it, I suppose. Yeah.
Okay, that's more believable.
Yeah.
And he makes it fire on Doppio as he holds him, and as he's holding Doppio down. But he's not Doppio anymore. He's the boss. So now he can use the full effects of his stands, and he just, you know, removes himself from time for the 0.5 seconds, so the bullets pass through him and just blast through Risotto's face.
See? that part of his ability pisses me off more than anything else. Like, you should not be able to be like, oh, but it doesn't work because time doesn't work on me. It's like, that's not the way. It's almost too much of an ability.
It's pretty overpowered. Yeah,
He's
it's
got
pretty
a very
good.
overpowered stand, yeah.
Yeah.
He can also see into the future too, right?
Mm-hmm.
It makes him the equivalent of the kid on the playground where, like, you'll be playing make-believe and they'll be like, nuh-uh, that didn't happen.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It is annoying
It's
like
annoying.
that. Actually, that's
Yeah.
like all of JoJo in one sentence, really. It's like, nuh-uh. Actually, this is what happened.
So as like the boss crawls away, Bucciarati and Narantia arrive and find Risotto riddled with bullets. Bucciarati deduces that there must have been another stand user here, and they probably underestimated each other's strength, and they are likely very wounded. He tells Narantia to enhance his radar and to look for a trail leading away from them. The boss like also eats like this big fat frog, living frog, just to get his strength back.
I'm like, okay, I'm pretty sure you just eating that frog in that moment is not gonna do jack shit for you.
He bit into that thing like it was a fucking cheeseburger.
It's not gonna magically dissolve in like a second into his stomach.
Well, I was also like, God, even if I was on the edge of death, would I bite into like a live frog?
Okay, if I was gonna die, if I didn't eat a frog, I would fucking eat a frog, and you
know
would
how
too.
disgusting that would taste? Ugh.
Yeah, but you'd live.
So disgusting. I would try to cook it or something.
Okay, so they follow the signal and even find some blood before noticing a pair of shoes disappearing behind a rock. They give them 3 seconds before they attack. They go in for the kill, and it just cuts back to Leone, who's like helping some shitty tourist kids get their ball out of a tree because
just
they're
like soccer
annoying
ball.
as fuck.
I'm shocked he like put up with that for as long as he did, because he let them play for a second. Like, yeah, like the ball, we kicked the ball around, and I'd just be like, get the fuck away, kids! You're about to get blasted by like a bunch of fucking gangsters.
It goes back to Bucciarati, and what they found behind the rock was one of the kids playing soccer with his like mouth sewn shut with his shoelaces.
Oh
Yikes.
shit!
And he's
yeah.
also like missing a lot of blood, and they're like, well, where'd it go? Then it goes back to Leone, and like one of the kids runs past him and just shoves his hand through his chest. It's the boss impersonating one of the kids. And then like you see the light like leave Leone's eyes after a second or two.
That's the not funny part. The funny part is like him being surprised and then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it kind of came on there. What seems to be a flashback at first, Leone is like having lunch when he notices a police officer trying to find some prints on like some broken glass. He basically asks why he's working so hard, and the officer gives like a bit of an uplifting speech. Leone suddenly remembers he has to get back on a bus and get back to his friends. The officer uses Leone's name and says that the bus he arrived on, that's the bus he arrived on, and Leone suddenly recognizes the officer as the one who took the bullet for him back when he accepted that bribe.
Right.
He then kind of just realizes he has passed on and accepts his fate.
Yeah. Fucking Leone's dead.
It dead.
I know. That was sad.
It is.
So, yeah. Yeah, but as stand abilities, he had the least battle equipped one.
but
but still, he was a good character.
And he's also the one who's like the biggest danger to the boss at this moment. So
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they can't look up the like anything else about the past anymore.
Yeah, they're just trying to figure out the boss's face. So the gang are like around Leone's body, and Narantia is losing his shit as, I mean, you would
He
expect.
like really lost his shit here. Like,
But like you would expect him to lose his shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
I
is
suppose.
him in character completely.
mm-hmm.
He finally calms down after they pretty much got to fucking wrestle him. And before they leave, Giorno notices a stone in Leone's hand. He turns it into a ladybug and has it fly to where it belonged before. What they find is that on the back of the monument, they find a death mask where Leone had finished the playback and seen the face. So his stand turned into the guy, and he had his stand press his face into the back of the monument to get, you know, the imprinting image.
Yeah.
So
they're
they
like, we
did
know the boss's
find out.
face now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, kind of like a weird distorted.
Stone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked the part where they had him like larger than life above the cliff or whatever where he died.
Mm-hmm.
That was very
Oh.
picturesque. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was really cool. I thought that was like End of Evangelion or something where he's like floating in the sky.
Yeah, yeah. And then also imagine you're like a 6-7 year old kid and someone just like grabs you from behind a rock and like sews through your fucking mouth.
That would suck. That would not be fun.
I feel like you'd just be traumatized for life. You'd just be like, well, that happened.
Oh, God. Yeah, fun episode. I'm curious, like, where they go, like, geographically from here. Like, whether they stay in Sardinia or they go somewhere else. I don't know.
The title of the next episode is Get to the Roman Colosseum. So
Hell
there you go.
Yeah, let's go.
There's your
Rome.
answer.
I'm excited now. Nice.
That should be fun. Actually, this series has surprised me. Like, I was sort of thinking it was going... I was like, I'm not enjoying it as much as I was, and now I'm enjoying it even more. So it kind of has gone up.
I think it did have like a little low point a couple episodes back. Yeah, I'll agree. I kind of felt the same way, but I was like, this is JoJo. This will be fine.
It was still really good. It was just kind of a little bit of one, but it's really bounced back. It's a lot better.
For sure. All right, Leo, tell us about Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba.
Episode 4, Final Selection. The reason Tanjiro won was because he has developed like this ability to sense the thread of an opening and use it to allow him to strike in his opponent's opening. This
reminded me, I don't know if any of you guys remember, there's like near the end of Grimgar of Fan Service and Ass, our favorite show.
Fan service and ass.
The main character gets an ability kind of like that, where it like shows him how to strike at the exact right moment or something. And it's just it felt like really OP, right? Because it's just like, oh, it's just like something that's like an arrow pointing here to like, oh, kill it here. And so I don't know. It kind of felt like that, but he's like, yeah, I can smell the thread. Yeah,
it's tied to his smell, his sense of smell too, for some reason.
They're tying a lot to his sense of smell, and I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Superpower.
Yeah.
We'll see. Urokodaki shows up and says he never intended to send him to the final selection in the first place. And he honestly never expected him to actually slice a motherfucking boulder. So they end up eating their small feast that evening, and Urokodaki tells Tanjiro that demons are only as strong as to how many humans they have eaten, so the more they have eaten, the stronger they are. They can also transform their bodies and possibly use spells once they've powered up to a certain extent. We get a perfect example later on. He finishes giving Tanjiro a kitsune mask that he says he warded with a spell to protect him from harm. As Tanjiro leaves, he tells Urokodaki, I hate these names, to say hi to Sabato and Makomo for him, which stuns him because he says to himself, how does he know those dead children? He arrives at the final selection to find...
Did you think in that when he's making him like the final meal or whatever, did you think that he thought that he was going to die for sure? Because I felt like that kind of.
Well, it's definitely like congratulatory. I mean, I think he thought there was a chance because, well, once we learn about like, well, he didn't know about Sabito and Makomo at that point. He didn't know that Tanjiro had met them, but he knows that the final selection is rough for sure. Like,
I almost wonder if it's like, well, you'll probably die. There's like a 10% chance you'll survive, but you're probably gonna die. Well, so like, here's a final meal. That's kind of how I felt about it.
Well, which is interesting because you don't find out until later in the episode that he's lost 14 of his last recent disciples.
Yeah. So, for sure.
Like, yeah. So like, if you didn't really know, you do know when you get to that point.
Yeah.
So he arrives at the final selection to find the Anayaku twins, explaining to them how it works. What do you guys think of them? They're interesting.
They kind of seem like a yin and yang thing to me with the white hair and the black hair, like these little twin sisters.
Their eyes are weird.
They also reminded me of the twins from The Shining, like, come play with us forever and ever and ever.
I just want to know more about them because their eyes are fucking weird. And I'm like, what the hell's wrong with these girls?
They're pretty cool.
Yeah, so there's demons trapped on the mountain because it is surrounded by wisteria flowers that apparently demons absolutely can't stand, so they're like caged in.
The animation of the wisteria was absolutely gorgeous.
They look beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crunchyroll's been tweeting about them all fucking week.
Oh, have they? I didn't see that.
See, I didn't even see that, and I was just like, oh my God. Like,
I saw that post 2 or 3 times. I don't know why. It just kept popping up on my feed, excuse me.
Twitter's like, you need to see this.
So, also interestingly, all the demons were also captured by the other demon slayers and put here. And there's like actually a large number of people participating, and they also have to survive like 7 days on the mountain to pass. Yeah.
If they hate wisteria flowers so much, then like why aren't people just walking around with wisteria all over them?
They did say at one point these ones were special because they bloomed year round.
Oh yeah, that's true. They did say that. Yeah.
I don't know, maybe they lose their special powers when they become separated from the tree.
Maybe, because I mean, if I knew that wisteria is like toxic to demons, I'd just go around just covered in it.
I know those two sisters were wearing it in their hair, but it could be that like they have to like pick more every once in a while, or else it dies and loses its effect. You know, who knows? Because they seem to live there. But
so it all starts, and Tanjiro decides to go east, so he will be closest to the first light from the sun, and then he can use it to rest and sleep during the day, since the demons can't be out and about. But he's immediately attacked by two demons, but he ends up using like his water breathing technique to quickly kill them with the special sword that Urokakaki gave him that can kill demons. What they call it? The Nichiren
sword.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the type of sword it is. Also, whenever he does the water breathing, I can't help but think that he's like vaping, and I start laughing every time. Like, it looks really cool, but I'm also like, oh, it's the vape. Let's go, boy.
I was
the
going to
power
say,
of the vape.
The animation's really cool when he starts swinging his sword and stuff. So.
Yeah. Also, other thing I just wanted to mention is that like the music when he enters the forest on the mountain is so good. It starts with like these like gentle like arpeggiating like synths, and then there's like that traditional like Japanese singing in the background over it, and it just gets hype and hype and hype. It's really good.
Yeah. Just before he starts moving again, he sees like a giant blob of a demon chasing another person, and like he's like, it scares him at first. He's like, oh shit, this is a very strong demon. The demon is like basically just a bunch of arms and hands.
I know.
Yeah,
I thought that its head was the weirdest part, because its head is just like a pair of crossed arms with like a weird face.
Well, isn't he's like surrounding his head and neck with the arms also, so that he won't be able to cut his head off?
Does he remind
I
you of that?
think the two crossed arms on the head are like part of the head, and it's because they like move kind of like eyebrows sometimes.
Does he remind you of the guy with all the hands all over his face, the villain in My Hero Academia a little bit?
Oh, yeah.
Reminds me of
that. So after saving the boy, the demon gets excited because he knows Tanjiro is one of Urokodaki's disciples by the mask. It seems he trapped this demon here, and it holds a grudge because of it. He specifically goes after his disciples and tells Tanjiro that he will be the 14th disciple that he's eaten, and he's probably eaten about 50 people while trapped here. So kind of give you, I guess, a start of an understanding of how powerful he's going to be. So like later on when we hear demons ate 100 people, we kind of have a reference to go off of.
Yeah, it's like their power level. So yeah.
Yeah, and he also really remembers Sabito and Makomo, and it's like crazy because he talks about like, oh, he like Makomo wasn't very powerful, but like when he did finally get a hold of her, he like ripped her limbs off first before eating her. It's fucked up.
Mean.
Yeah. And it kind of sends Tanjiro into like a blind rage, and it gets him knocked unconscious. He comes to when was this his little brother?
Yeah, I think it was his little brother who was like upside down, who kind of like whispers something or like yells at him like in his
he's like tell him to get up. And then like he wakes up barely in time to dodge a demon, and then like after jumping around for like a whole bunch and trying to figure out how to use his ability, Tanjiro finally comes to his senses, and he uses his scent technique and the water breathing technique both to cut through like this monster's head off.
Yeah, it was I can't remember what the move was called. It was like Rising Tides or something like that. It looked pretty cool.
Yeah, isn't it like technique 1, something?
Yeah.
And you're like, ooh,
I think there was
amazing.
Like a water wheel earlier was one of them.
Yeah, there was another technique like that earlier. Yeah.
That one was hype because I could just imagine in my head like the water wheel, and he's like slicing and it feels so clean.
It's also cool when he uses the techniques, you get these like sort of typical shonen like horn music coming in the background, like really hype stuff, but it's only like a little taste of it because it's like, oh, it's just this small moment of him discovering how to use this form. Whereas I think later in the show we'll get like these big bombastic like musical scores that'll like wrap in with these themes again and bring it back. It's just like it just marks like a sign of like a good foreshadowing for like musical score that's going to be hype in the future. And I think good composers do that. They hint at their themes and then they like give them to you full blown, fully developed later in the show.
Yeah, I am a little annoyed that at this. Oh, or have we? Yeah, he said that they cut the head off, so we're done with the episode.
Yeah,
I'm annoyed that it's
how it
episode
ends.
4, and we still haven't seen the weird dude with like who's shirtless and has like the weird boar face
boar
or
head
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like he's in every opening, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? And they still haven't showed it to us.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll meet him soon enough. Yeah, maybe after this this mountain arc is finished, the selection arc.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how long it'll last. I mean, maybe he killed like probably the worst demon that's there. So
The biggest badass that fucking mountain has. So like, what else are you gonna do?
Exactly. But yeah, unless you guys got anything else to say. Speaking of killing demons, we got another show about that called Dororo.
Yeah.
Woohoo.
And this one, episode 16, is called The Story of Shiranui. So, at the end of the last episode, Itachi had shown up. This is the guy who was in, like, Dororo's father's bandit clan. And he has kidnapped Dororo to find out knowledge about, like, the second half of the map, which he believes will lead him to a secret stash of money from Dororo's father, Hibukuro, the leader of that gang, who he thinks was like selling off some of the items that they stole from the samurai for his own profit. And so he got the map by actually digging up Dororo's mother's grave and checking it off of her back.
Up. So she must have not been buried for very long if he was able to
Yeah.
lift like she may have been there like a day.
Yeah.
Or else she was preserved somehow very well. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, the map leads him to this place called Hakotsu Cape, where Itachi believes Hibukuro hid the money. And there's this like little fishing town on the coast there that's been completely ransacked, and Dororo sees like these huge blood stains on the floors and the walls of some of the houses, which makes her really uneasy. And even all the boats have been destroyed, so they don't have any way of getting out to this little cape. But then this like young man whose right arm has just been cleft like clean off at the shoulder comes up to Itachi and like it's like, I've got some boats, but you have to pay up. And Itachi decides they have no choice but to accept, even though Dororo's warning them that something feels really wrong about this guy. Itachi's like wondering where their oarsmen are for the boats as they start like just moving on their own. And we see in the water, there's these two sharks named Jiromaru and Saburamaru who are pulling the boats by the mouth with this like ropes. And the guy who we find out is named Shiranui explains that the sharks are like his family, and he like literally fed his right arm to them.
I actually had a little my sense of believability was like really pushed with these like pet sharks. I was like, sure.
Did anyone else start hearing the baby shark do 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 like song?
No.
I've never even heard that song.
Oh my god, I've heard
never
that,
heard
but
that song?
I've heard
I
of
know
it.
it's a thing, but I've been able to avoid it. So
Oh my god, that would have really made me laugh at this episode a lot more.
Like just through that entire shark part, like instead of the audio, it's just the song.
Oh my god. So so he fed his right arm to them, and so now they only want to eat human flesh, and they've gotten bigger and bigger because Shiranui has just been like continually feeding them with women and then children, and then like literally the entire fishing village he's fed to them at this point. So they're huge now, and the sharks start capsizing. There's two boats. They start capsizing the boat that none of the key main characters are on, of course.
Of course, just conveniently. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's also the one that Shiranui isn't on, so that makes sense.
I mean, if you're in an anime and there's like 2 boats, and all the important characters get on one boat.
Yeah.
You should probably get on that fucking boat. Just saying.
And so, yeah, the sharks like come up like Jaws and like they capsize the boat and just start eating these guys alive. And it's pretty rough, man. It's like, oh my God. And so,
did you, okay.
What?
The part where one of the sharks like takes one of the arms and like goes up to him and is like, here. And he's like, I'll eat later.
Which to me is like, oh, is Shiranui like a cannibal also, or does the shark just think he like what? Like, because the shark's like trying to give him some food. It's like, here, Dad, take this arm. We don't need it. Yeah, luckily he tells the sharks not to eat Itachi's men all at once, and so he gets on one of the sharks, Jiromaru, and just like surfs off on top of him. And he's like, I'm gonna leave Saburomaru here to watch over you, and like I'll be back at sundown. So it turns out Itachi was betrayed by the samurai he had pledged to serve. They had like used him as a pawn during their wars, leaving him to die as just a distraction. And so that's when he decided to leave them and go back to being a brigand like he was before. And so that's why he's looking for the money now, because now he could do anything he wants if he just finds this money. And so Dororo gives Itachi and his men like a sharp talking to about how they need to cling to life with their teeth if they're truly brigands and not act like they're already dead, which is what they're doing. And Itachi can kind of visualize Dororo's father when he sees her speaking. And so Dororo comes up with this crazy plan where she's like, I'm going to dive into the water with this rope around my waist. I'm going to lure the shark to the surface. And she like tugs twice on the rope when she sees the shark.
In this boat full of men and one little girl, the little girl has the biggest balls of all.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, for sure. And so they pull her out of the water, and the shark like leaps up, and then they like all stab the shark in the stomach at once, killing it. And so they tear the seats off their boat. They like are able to like get themselves over to the cape before Shiranui comes back. And he finds that Saburomaru has been killed, and he's pissed, and he gets captured by the guys who are like laying in wait. But Dororo stops Itachi from killing him, despite the fact that like he killed half of Itachi's men. He still listens to Dororo, and it's like, all right, we'll just leave him. We beat the crap out of him. That's enough. And so Itachi's attention once again returns to getting Dororo to tell him where the treasure is. And Dororo refuses, so Itachi's like, well, maybe it's somebody else on your body, not your back. And they strip her naked. And of course, realize she's a girl, not a boy. But as she's like laying naked next to the fire, her back starts to heat up. So it reveals the map.
I was so mad. I was like, listen, girl, you had one job. All you had to do was not stand by the fucking fire.
That's true. She really should have been thinking about that. But
yeah,
she was scared and afraid. And yeah, it happens. So once they have the map, they tie Dororo to a tree to leave her behind. And we see Shiranui like wake up, and like Jiromaru, the other shark, is like mourning Saburomaru with him. And Shiranui's like, I will kill Itachi and all of his men. So it may not have been a good idea to leave him behind. But yeah. Also, I thought that like Shiranui's like hair and face like kind of looked like a shark themselves. So I kind of liked that design.
Oh, also that other shark, its eyes turned black at the end of the episode, like it was turning into a demon or something.
Oh, you're right. They did. I didn't think about that, but it's true.
Yeah. I'm like, oh shit, now it's a demon shark. Awesome. The best kind of shark.
Love demon sharks. They're the best. Jaws 6.
And yeah, immediately my brain went to like, oh, this is going to be some Jaws shit now.
I think Itachi's men probably deserve it for what they did to Dororo here, probably. So we'll see. I'm actually curious what the treasure is, if it really is just money or if there's anything there at all. I guess we'll find out, maybe. So,
yeah, who knows?
All right, unless there's anything else, let's take a short break and hear from our fellow podcasters for a little bit.
Sounds good.
See you in a minute.
See ya.
The following is an extract from Reanimator Pod episode 47, Blood, Blood, Blood. Taka discusses Des Irae.
Most of the characters in the show, particularly the villains, have more than one name, like many more than one. For example, the super powerful mage from my synopsis is Karl Kraft, also known as Mercurius, also known as Faust, also known as Saint Germain, also known as Paracelsus, also known as Cagliostro, also known as Copophilia Smudge. Woo! Okay, that last one is a Reanimator special, but the rest are all legit. Like, he actually has those names. How about a few more?
He's got more names?
No, they're other characters. He actually had that many names, though. Wilhelm Ehrenberg is Kazikli Bey, because why not? Valeria Trifa is Christoph Lohengrin, who's a priest and is commonly referred to as Father. Lord Heydrich is also Reinhard, and Teresia is Rhea, but Fujiren, aka Zarathustra, is our main character, and also refers to Rhea as Senpai. So we never really learn her name until other characters start calling her Rhea. But really her name's Teresia, so I don't really know how that adds up. Ugh.
And if you like that and you want to hear more from the Reanimator Pod, head on over to reanimatorpod.com. That's REAnimator pod.com. New episodes are out every Monday.
Don't drop that. Hey, don't drop that.
Hi, I'm JD, your host of the Red Leaf Retrocast, your best location to learn, remember, and relive the past to the present. Our podcast has 4 shows for you to listen to between retro gaming, modern gaming, anime, and even wrestling. The Retro Gaming Cast covers discussion topics, and each episode we discuss retro games picked based on a decided theme for that episode, ranging from space all the way to console specials like the old handheld Game Boy. Our Modern Gaming Cast is monthly and covers video game titles that were released in that previous month. Each anime cast, we focus to review a retro anime each and every episode, like the original Mobile Suit Gundam to the racing hit Initial D. But that's not all. We also keep up with the seasonal shows, by occasionally doing impressions and reviews as well. Finally, our last show is about wrestling, where we keep the rising indie scene up to date, while also covering shows from the bigger promotions like Ring of Honor, New Japan, and WWE, so we cover it all. We also cover a retired wrestler every episode in what we call the Wrestler Spotlight, and are currently on a quest covering old WCW Thunder episodes from the late 90s, every cast. So if any one of those casts sound like something you'd like to check out, that's the Red Leaf Retrocast, Gaming, Anime, and Wrestling, found at iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, and all your favorite podcasting sites. Also, you can learn, remember, and relive the past to the present. We can't wait to see you soon.
And we're back with some Attack on Titan. Oh, I rhymed. Look at me.
Episode 51, Thunder Spears.
It's the name of your porno.
Spears. That would be a good porno. Holy fuck.
God damn it.
Okay, you could do like a Thor porn and call it Thunder Spear.
We are derailing so quickly after coming back.
He'd be like, "Do you want to see my hammer?" Oh, and you can even make it like a gay porn and have like Captain America. Only I can wield the hammer. Only I am worthy.
Oh, God.
In-game spoilers.
Holy shit.
Oh,
Do you
I
have
need
you
to
gotten
make
it out of your system now, Kat?
not really. It's never out of my system. But we can move on to Attack on Titan. Okay, so first thing in this episode that you see is a weird ass Titan with luggage on it that looks like a fucking dog or a horse or something.
They call it like a quadruped titan.
Yeah.
It just looks weird.
It almost has like a duck beak or something, too. It's so weird. Or like
It
a
looks
pelican beak.
like a kinky Titan. Like someone decided, like, my whole life is to be luggage for someone else.
Well, I think he was
know.
also supposedly the scout, too.
No, they
I
say
don't
he's like
know.
intelligent. That's yeah. So
It's weird. Although my favorite, okay, we're going to link this as a picture in the Discord.
okay.
There is my favorite Titan. Like, it's posed at the very beginning. It's this guy with his hands like on his ribs, like a frou-frou actor. And he's like all dramatic, and he's got his
yes,
legs.
I know who you're talking about. Yes.
It's a fucking JoJo pose is when I saw it. I was like, holy shit.
I know. It's like legs crossed and pointed. He's just like, I'm fabulous. And I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Oh my god.
Because I feel like every time there's a bunch of Titans, there's always some ridiculous ones that you get to pick from.
I still really like the finger bang bang one from the end.
Yeah,
Cracks
that was
me up.
great.
Pretty good. All right, so the Beast Titan signals to the other Titans to start going, and the way he does this is just to be fucking violent as all shit. Like, all he does is just be like, Hulk smash! And the other ones are like, that's our cue! And they start running toward the crew. And I'm like, I guess they discussed it before. I don't fucking know. And they start discussing, like, both Erwin and, like, the other people. And then you also get snatches of, like, Reiner. And they're all discussing about how they're going to go after the horses first to cut off their escape. And so they can't get supplies, and then they're going to go after Eren. But they go on about it for a long-ass time. Like,
Yeah.
they monologue about it for a good, like, 5 or 6 minutes. And by the end of it, you're just like, we get it. They're going after the horses. It's strategic. We know.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, they
They
need
do
the
talk about
horses
it for a
so they
while.
can get away from the Titan apocalypse and record a podcast.
Yeah, exactly. In the basement. That's
In the
where they
basement.
record it.
That's where it's going the whole time.
but yeah, and then Erwin, like, stops monologuing for 5 seconds, and then Levi is like, are you ready to actually do something? Because, like, I could have had breakfast in this time. And I'm like, exactly. Because they've been monologuing for a fucking long time. Like, all they had to do was say, we need to protect the horses because such and such, it's strategic. Like, it could have been 30 seconds, and instead they spent like 7 minutes on it. So it is a lot. At this point, Erwin is like, hey, Levi, you get to take on the Beast Titan. Levi's like, fuck yeah, I like this plan.
Yeah, he's up for that.
You know, yeah, it's Levi. And then Erwin has Arwen, which, okay, it's really hard for me to say their names back to back. Is it hard for anyone else?
Erwin and
You mean
Armin. Yeah,
Armin?
it's a little tough.
Yeah. So
You mean
Erwin
Armin?
has Arwen. I don't know. This is how I say their names, okay?
You mean Armin, right?
Oh, yeah,
Armin?
Armin. Yeah.
That helps
She's
some.
not- it helps if you say it right. You have it wrote as Arwen. It's
All I know is it's the one that sounds very similar, but it starts with an A.
Oh my god.
Dumb.
Nice.
And he's like, you look after Hanj, da 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 da. And I'm like, how is Armin gonna look after fucking Hanj? Hanj is a badass.
Hanj is a badass, but I guess Armin's like a little bit better strategically like minded. I don't know.
I'm just
But, yeah.
imagining Armin like running after Hanj, who's like going into battle, and he's like, no, don't, I'm supposed to protect you.
Yeah.
So Reiner actually was gonna go after the horses, and he's like crouched on the wall at one point.
Mhm.
And you have this little monologue where he barely escaped dying from that blade thing, and I'm like, well, apparently you did though. And he sees Reiner, like Reiner just sees Erwin looking like menacingly at him. And then suddenly Eren transforms and like looks at him like very dramatically as a Titan and is like, da-na, and then like runs off as if to flee. And Reiner's like, oh, I should go after him because like I don't want him to escape. But then he's like, but that's a trap. They're just trying to get me to ignore the horses, which it is a trap.
Yeah.
But they also realize that he would know that it's a trap. Ta-da! The second layer. And so they figure that even if he realizes that it's a trap, he still has to go after him because if he gets behind the Beast Titan, he can like whoop the Beast Titan's ass with the help of the other people. So he has to do it even if he knows it's a trap, basically. Armin is worried that their plan will be fucked up because they still haven't found like Bert Holtz and like he could just jump out of anywhere and be like, I'm here, bitches.
And that's how like Eren got captured like the last time they met with these two. So
yeah. So he's like, should we be more worried about this? I feel like Armin is always the voice of reason. Like everyone else is always like has these high and mighty ideas, and Armin's always in the corner like, yeah, but reality.
Yeah, he is. He is totally.
And then Erwin and Levi think during the fight how like the scouts have gotten so much weaker since the first season. All of their strong fighters have been killed off, and they're really just left with like new recruits that die very easily. Because they see them struggling with these very small titans to even kill them. And that wouldn't have happened before.
Damn noobs get good.
Yeah.
But it's like that he's like, yeah, the only way we've made it this far is because of those sacrifices. And he goes into this, like, Erwin goes into this whole monologue about how like all of these people have died to get him to where he is now, and like he says this like line where he's like, and upon a mountain of their corpses I now stand. And I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah. He talks a lot about how he was realized that he's become more selfish as he's gone on, and how he puts his own goals in front of the goals of the whole and in front of everyone else.
Yeah, his pursuit of knowledge has led him to just like trick people into throwing away their lives for him. In my opinion, like humanity has probably still benefited from his actions, like, but it's like it is a terrible cost to pay for his own kind of selfishness. Yeah.
Yeah, like for sure he's good and bad, but he does put himself above anyone else, as we saw last season. And then Eren almost had Reiner at one point, and then Reiner grabs him by the ankle and just like whoops him and like throws him around. And you're like, shit. And this is what I love about Attack on Titan fights, is it almost turns into like an MMA like wrestling match or something.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Like within the show, and you're just like, oh no, and they're like getting down and dirty on the ground, and you're just like, oh shit, who's gonna get the other one? And it's just really fun. I don't think I've ever seen an anime that has a fight quite like an Attack on Titan fight.
Oh, and yeah, Eren had figured out a way to like strengthen his knuckles using his strengthening technique.
Oh yeah, it's like he just pinpoints it into this
like brass
one
knuckles.
area.
Yeah.
So it's
and
like
he can
very
like break
focused
through the armor on Reiner's body, which is crazy.
Yeah, so but it does take him a while. So like he was getting there, but it was taking a bit. And in that bit that it was taking, Reiner just grabbed him by the ankle and kind of threw him off balance. So he's not doing so good for a second. And then they do this flashback of this weapon that Hanj has made to help like defeat the armored titan, since like they almost died last time trying to fight the armored titan. And it's just this big ass spear thing that like you put it in and it's like explodes in lightning. And so it's just like a double zap, right? You stab them and then they explode type thing.
It's almost like it detonates and tries to shoot the spearhead deeper into him is kind of what I felt like.
Yeah, it
kind
explodes.
of, yeah. But
It's
at the same time,
basically a grenade.
electrocutes them. Yeah, a little bit.
Because it's like it attaches to their ODM gear and like they swing in, they plant it, and then as they swing away, they like take this string out of the pin, and it explodes.
Let it go. Yeah, but they have to actually be able to get away, they point out. So they can only use this in areas with lots of things for them to grab onto, because as soon as they put it into like the target, they have to get away quickly or they're going to die as well.
Right.
So they do like a whole round of these. They skewer him right in the eyes.
Yeah, it's
They
like
go
Mikasa
off.
and Hanj.
That's
That was
crazy.
Oh
so cool.
yeah, it was epic. They do a second round and they get him and they almost have him down and like dead. And there's this pause where they're like, yeah, we got him. We don't have to do any more. And Hanj is like, no, we need to finish this. Like, we need to do a third round. And you see a lot of them hesitating because they know Reiner. Like, they don't want to kill him.
I was actually kind of surprised at that. Like, that the one guy yells at them, like, we were all prepared for this, you idiots. Like, we knew it was going to come to this at some point, but still, like, they remember him as being one of their scouts. Like,
Yeah. And so they do the third round, and it explodes, and that's when the episode ends on a fucking cliffhanger, like they always do in this fucking show. But it was an epic episode. Like, there was a lot of dramatic music, a lot of just really high in energy action. They've really done well this season, in my opinion.
The music was like fantastic throughout this episode. Like, even in the lulls between the fights, there was that like driving like bass in the soundtrack behind it that just really kept everything feeling like it was propelling forward into this conflict. I also really liked right before Mikasa and Hange attack Reiner, there's this like POV shot, like first person POV of like her like shooting like, you know, like one of the, I don't know, like anchors or like hooks out of her ODM gear to pull herself forward towards Reiner. And given like we've seen a lot of like shitty first person POV shots in anime lately, I wanted to point this like a great one out because it made a lot of sense and was actually really cool. So yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah. It was awesome.
Very excited for that next episode, though. Yeah.
Yeah, they keep the momentum going. There's never really very many lulls in Attack on Titan.
Attack on Titan's always been really good since season 1. That when the episode ends, you're like, "Fuck! Can I at least watch the first 5 minutes of the next episode?"
Yeah.
And like
they've always done it well.
Yeah, there was like a lot of exposition, like Kat was saying earlier at the beginning of this episode, but it was like it had a point. It was like explaining, like, okay, why can't we do anything? Why do we have to fight here? Why do they want to fight us in this situation? And like, what is their plan? Kind of like figuring that all out, and then you know, Erwin and Armin figuring out like what the best response is.
You're right. There is a reason behind all of it. Like, it is annoying, but there always is a reason they're explaining it to you.
Sure.
So, yep.
But is there a reason for One Punch Man Season 2?
That is the existential question that will haunt our nightmares, Bcom. So, episode 4 of 12, Metal Bat. So, I wrote the synopsis, and there's a lot of switching back and forth between the two story arcs in this show.
Yeah.
And there was a lot so far in the last few episodes as well. And I sat back and thought long and hard. And I was like, do I really want to keep switching back and forth? And I was like, no, I fucking don't. I don't like it. You, the listeners, don't fucking like it. You don't want to be confused. So we're just going to cover the two arcs in this fucking episode. 1 and then 2.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
We're going to see how it goes. If
I
don't like it,
hard. She asked me before we recorded, and I said whatever's easiest.
Leo, you're supposed to make it seem like I'm smart. God damn it!
It was your idea.
Okay, so we're gonna try it out, see how it goes. I think it might seem more cohesive, so we'll see. So the first arc that I think is the most important in this episode is the whole fight with the main fight with Garo and all of that. And then the second arc, which I'll cover later, is within that whole thing. You see glimpses of, of
Saitama?
Of Saitama trying to enter this martial arts tournament and like what he encounters there. So we're going to start with Garo. At the beginning of the episode, you see this little kid watching a hero show on TV, but he's cheering for the villain who's called like Devil Earl or something. And he seems to think the monster's like always losing is unfair because they have things they want too. And I'm like, well, I guess that's accurate.
You know what's fucked up? I had a friend in elementary school and middle school who said these things.
Like he's the voice. Yeah.
He's like, I feel bad for the bad guys. I'm like, okay.
I mean, I guess because like they're always doomed to fail, and that's really not fair to them. But like also they want to kill everyone, so
yeah, that's the thing.
But yeah, so I guess that's how Garo became a villain, right? And Garo wakes up on this giant pile of trash from getting fucking wrecked by Saitama. And he's like, what happened? And I'm just laughing my ass off. And then you get this shot of the council. The council knows that the attack on that fat, bald dude called, I think his name was Zemet. They know that was Garo. So they're like, all right, we can't let this continue happening because even though these dudes are just a bunch of fat cats, like, we need them in order to have money to run the council. So I guess they're kind of like lobbyists, right? Like, you need them, you hate them, but you need them.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So they issue this warning in this memo, and they're like, listen, we need people to come in and be bodyguards for these sons of bitches. Like, we need to make sure they don't get their asses kicked. And nobody wants to do it. Like, a bunch of the heroes like are asked, and they're like, no, I'm busy. Give it to someone else. And a lot of it's because they have so much shit going on. There are so many villains, and this issue with Garo, like, they're all tied up. They finally get this guy named Metal Bat to look after one of the more important council members and his son. And it turns out the reason that they're out and they need a bodyguard is because my boy insists on trying this peasant food.
God, I hated these people so much.
Oh, I know.
I think you're supposed to.
Yeah,
that's like the
definitely.
whole point. But yeah, like, I guess they go to one of those like sushi moving
Yeah, the conveyor
conveyor
belt sushi places.
places.
I
And
love
they
those
just have a
places.
bunch of obnoxious. I've never been to one because
it's
we
so
live
good.
in Indiana and we don't have fancy
We don't
things
have
such
that
as
shit.
that here. Bcom.
Yeah, and they like well, they don't have it really in New York either. The only ones I've really been to are when I went to Japan the one time, and like, but yeah, you can't, especially at like the lower tech ones that don't have like a computer system or something that you're just entering your orders in. Like, you can't put the plate back on the fucking conveyor belt because then they won't know how much money to charge you. The whole thing is set up so like the plates have different colors. And like they count the number of plates and the colors that they were, and that's how they determine your bill at the end of the day. So I like that Metal Bat is like getting angry at them for trying to do that every time.
Yeah, because like Metal Bat's this badass Yakuza looking dude who, you know, he grew up like lower class, like doing what he could and all that. And so they're at this place acting like complete assholes. You're like, ooh, what's this, Dad? It's this commoner food, this pudding. It's
Put the
it
plate
looks
back.
like trash. Like, yeah.
So can I have some more?
And they're like, "Ooh, I did not know that you could eat any other part of the tuna, but the fancy part."
Oh God, I hated these people so much.
I know. Oh my God. So the whole time, fucking Metal Bat's like, "Listen, you gotta put the fucking plate back," and they keep putting the plates on the conveyor belt, and he keeps grabbing it and being like, "No," and they do it like 6 times, and he's like, "The next time that they put a plate back, I'm gonna kill them." And I'm like,
I was like,
okay.
yes, please.
But yeah, and then finally, after a little bit, the Metal Bat gets like a call from his sister. And
His little sister.
she's like, "Hey, I need your help with something," as all little sisters are wont to do. And he's like, "Listen, I can't help you right now. I have an important job. I'm
I
at
think
the sushi bar
she
place."
wanted him to take him clothes shopping or something.
Yeah. And she's like, "Oh yeah, an important job at a sushi bar place." And he's like, "No, seriously, you don't understand." Like, but while he's having this conversation, like, his client gets attacked, and so he like runs back. He's like, "Fuck," and it's the centipede monster thing.
I love their
And-
names so much.
Oh, I know. It's like, okay, so one of them is called I wrote them down.
Centisenpai,
Centikouhai, Centikouhai, and then like Choro or
Yeah, later.
whatever. So like he defeats the first centipede, who's Centikouhai, and then immediately Centisenpai comes, and it's like this bigger fucking centipede, and it's like, "I will avenge you, Kouhai." And I'm like, what do you mean?
It's very cute.
I just imagine this whole anime about these centipede monsters and
Me
being
too,
like,
actually.
let me teach you our ways. And like, oh man. But the larger one uses a drug on Metal Bat, and they almost beat him. But as he's about to go down, Metal Bat hits himself in the head to clear it and recovers. And like epically and awesomely just defeats the fuck out of Sentai. And my Yakuza fangirl genes at this moment were just violently triggered. Because anyone who knows me knows I just love fucking anime characters that look like Yakuza or like thugs.
Yeah.
Like with the hairstyle, like a Yu Yu Hakusho character. That is my ideal man.
With the pompadour and everything?
Yeah, so like, oh fuck. This dude, I was like, oh.
Yeah, he's definitely in your strike zone, 100%.
Yeah, pretty much. So I was like, oh my god, this dude. So he is now my favorite character, at least for the moment. So he beats the big ass centipede, and then an even fucking bigger ass centipede comes. It's
Dragon level.
I know, like, come on. Now it's just getting ridiculous. And it's like
Welcome to One Punch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a dragon level centipede thing. And these lower level heroes appear, and Metal Bat's like, take the chairman away, and they grab them and take them away while Metal Bat like holds them off. And Garo at this point is interested to see if Metal Bat is still alive, because he's been looking for someone to challenge him, kind of. Because it's been so easy for him to defeat everyone. And so he's very excited that Metal Bat has survived and is like, all right, I'm going to get you now. I'm hunting you. And Metal Bat is like, I'm kind of busy right now. Like, I can't be dealing with you. And that's kind of the end of that for this episode. So I think next episode will be Metal Bat versus Garo. But Metal Bat is pretty fucked up at this point. So we'll see how it goes.
And the thing
What about,
I like... oh, sorry, Leo.
I was going to say, we're not done. What about Saitama?
Well, I was going to say one thing about Metal Bat first. Like, Metal Bat, I like him because he's just like such a simplistic character. It's like Moomin Rider. It's like just a guy who rides a bike. And Metal Bat is just a guy with a metal baseball bat who's kind of a delinquent. And
Yeah.
it's nice
Very
to have
simple.
like that break from like really complicated hero powers sometimes. In like JoJo, maybe is like the opposite of this sometimes, where it's like super complicated. No, it's like this guy's just gonna hit you with a bat and he's gonna hit you really hard. And that's
And
it.
he's going to give you the scally thug face while he does it. Like,
Yeah.
you looking at me? And I'm just going to be like, yeah, I'm looking at you, you sexy thing. But that's beside the point. Yeah, it is pretty awesome. But while Metal Bat was busy swinging his bat, Saitama was busy trying to get into this martial arts tournament. So Saitama just goes straight for it and is like, yeah, I'm gonna go register under Chiranko's name. And I just was so angry. I was like, are you fucking kidding? Once again, you're not going to take credit for the things you do. You're going to come in, be epic, and everyone's going to be like, whoa, well, I guess Chiranko is just really epic. And it's like, no! Stop. I don't know. It annoys me. And at the hospital, Chiranko is like, he better not be competing in my place. Well, he wouldn't do that. He's not that stupid. And I'm just like, guess again, bitch. He's fucking that stupid.
He's exactly that stupid.
Yeah. And this guy named Sourface comes up to him while he's filling out his registration forms and is like, yeah, you know, even wearing headgear is illegal in these games now because of the guy who did that before. Like, if you were wearing headgear, like misrepresenting yourself, that would be really bad because you'd be sued and like heavily fined and you'd be in a lot of trouble. And like Saitama's just sweating. And he's like, oh no, he suspects. And like this guy's like, oh, I think you know the guy who did it last time, who caused all of these rules to come into place. And I guess it was Garo, basically.
Yeah, he disguised himself with like a wolf mask and called himself Wolfman last time.
Yeah. But yeah, so you find out that this guy named Sour Face or whatever, which is so fitting because he really is like just a sour face son of a bitch. He got his ass whooped by Garo when they were both trainees of Bang Sensei, which every time I say Bang Sensei, I just imagine some like slightly older gentleman with like a line of women like trailing out his door with just like a glint in his eyes, just like, yeah, I'm Bang Sensei.
Well, not too far from the tree. No, I don't know.
They really should have given him a different name. But anyway, and so when they were both trainees, Garo like just whooped him. And Saitama kind of baits him, and because he keeps talking big about how like now that Garo is not in the picture anymore, like Sourface is the best disciple of Bang that's around, and blah blah blah. And Saitama's kind of like, well, I mean, you left the dojo, so you can't be his best student around. I'm pretty sure I, Chiranko, am the best one. And this makes Sourface angry, and he's just like, just wait till we get in the ring, and I'll whoop your ass. And Saitama's like, I mean, if you can, I'd be welcome to it. I'm kind of bored. So, and I loved Moomin Rider at this point. Like, it goes to the hospital, and he's talking with Chiranko, and Moomin Rider's like, you know, you missed one thing in your assessment. Saitama is a hero, and heroes never break rules.
Yeah.
So he won't go into the tournament. You don't have to worry. And I'm just like, oh, Moomin Rider.
Yeah, poor Moomin Rider. He thinks the best of everybody.
You are too naive for this world.
One of the other things, the last things I liked was that when Saitama has to enter the martial arts tournament, everybody has to declare their fighting style. And he calls his fighting style, he's like, oh, I think this is what it was. And it's like fist of water polo carbonation.
It
like,
gets better in the next episode, dude.
Oh, nice. Oh, I'm excited for that then.
Water polo carbonation.
I'm excited to see what he does. But yeah, I think that was successful, Kat, with the two different storylines at the same time. That was good.
Yeah, because I mean, otherwise you just end up having to go back and forth constantly. And I was just, I mean, it works well when you're watching it, but it's not so fun to listen to.
Right. Yeah, it makes more sense when you have like a visual there to accompany it. So yeah. Anything else?
No, I think that this season is picking up. I did notice that the animation was still kind of iffy. Like there are definitely fight scenes where all you get is the just static pictures.
Yeah.
But it's not
bad.
not unwatchable.
Yeah.
Like I think people are exaggerating a little with this. Like they want to act like it's the most terrible thing ever. It's not nearly as bad as like the Steins Gate.
Oh no,
Yeah,
it's not.
so
That was bad. Holy
So at least they're picking themselves up and being like, listen, we did go down a notch. We're still here. And I appreciate that. I can watch this.
Yeah.
I still think the story's really good.
It is. It is a really good story.
And I think like the character designs for both like Metal Bat and like the new villains are all just like really cool as well and like inventive. So
Metal
I like
Bat.
that.
See, now there's a person on our Discord called Rye. And he showed me this manga all about a ex-thug who becomes a house husband. And just like his dramatic, like, I'm going to make a bento. And like, he's just covered in scars. He's got like these meaty arms and he's like making a bento for his wife, who's like an office worker.
Is she hot?
She's hot. And he's fucking hot.
Do you remember the name of it?
Metal. Oh shit! I need to look it up. We'll probably link it in the Discord for everyone, and we'll have notes and stuff.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I read it, but I loved it so much. I need Metal Bat to become my house husband. He needs to come move into my condo I wake up every morning. He's like made a bento for me.
Wow, he cooks? I didn't realize.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
All right, so the next show we've got is Sarazanmai, episode 4. I want to connect, but you're so far away. So yeah,
I deliberately watched this episode drunk.
nice. I hope you enjoyed
Leo.
it more that way.
No.
Oh, that's sad. So this episode opens with Toei's memory of seeing his older brother Chikai literally shoot some guy to death, and telling him that bad people are the ones who survive in this world, which has clearly shaped Toei's personality to this day.
Yeah, that's always what you want to tell your younger brother,
Yeah.
right? Be a bad person. Only bad people do well in this world.
You're right. That morning, the idol Sarah's lucky item turns out to be soba, which is interesting since we find out that Toei's family owns a soba shop, which they live above. Also, Sarah is going to have an idol fan meetup, which Kazuki's little brother Haruka is really excited about attending, but that'll come into play later. So Chikai is on the phone with Toei, and at the same time he's just drowning some guy in a bathtub. And they're just having a casual conversation.
Casually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, this is just my everyday job. Just gotta keep doing this.
Yeah, I mean, they never seem to stop having people to drown in bathtubs.
Right. Yeah. The Yakuza or whoever he works for always got more of those go around. And so, yeah, Toei kind of makes it clear he's sick of living apart from his older brother and really wants him to come home. However, Enta comes over to hang out, and as they're heading out of the soba shop, we hear one of Toei's relatives clearly upset that Toei just refuses to break ties with his murdering bastard of a brother. And so Toei sort of explains the situation to Enta and says that his mother and father are dead. And his relatives run the soba shop in their place. And Enta kind of pleads with Toei, would you please give up your dish of hope to Kazuki? And Toei kind of just remembers the philosophy of his brother, which is taught him about how things are always perishing and being forgotten in this city if there's nobody there to protect them or keep them up. And whether they be people or buildings or otherwise, and how no one gives a shit about any of that stuff disappearing. And I think that's kind of true, where some people, especially in a big city, you hardly notice if a store disappears sometimes, unless you went there every day or it was a regular place for you. Things just come and go and people don't even notice a lot of the time. Whereas to the people who owned those places or lived there, it might have been the biggest deal to them. It just doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. So I see that. And yeah, while he's thinking about that, Kazuki runs up to Toei in this, the idol outfit and asks Toei to kidnap the real Sara Azuma before her fan meetup, because he's obviously worried that Haruka will find out that he hasn't been texting the real idol if he meets her in person. I
think he should have just let it be. I don't think his brother is smart enough to have figured it out. I think he just...
Oh, sorry.
I think he just created more work for himself.
Well, probably, but he apparently promised to the little brother in a message that when I meet you at the fan meetup or whatever, I'm going to do a secret handshake, or when I meet you in person, I'll do a secret handshake with you. So obviously the real idol doesn't know about that, so the brother would immediately find out.
Yeah. Although, okay, the brother has to get better at makeup. Because, some of the pictures, you can tell, just because he's not wearing, the face is different.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to learn to, do eyeshadow.
Somebody will hopefully teach him one day. I don't know. He's doing all this on his own, so it must be tough. He's probably, watching YouTube videos.
He's desperately how can I get a cat eye? I don't understand.
So then we get this prolonged flashback of what happened during Toei's childhood, and his parents actually killed themselves because they were conned into a huge debt by this supposed friend of theirs, so they couldn't pay it back, and I guess they killed themselves because Chikai says only an idiot would kill themselves or something like that.
Well, and that is true. If you have 2 kids, you don't get to fucking kill yourself.
Yeah,
in my opinion. I
don't think
that's
you should ever be able to kill yourself.
Well, but like if you're on your own, you got no one depending on you, and you want to kill yourself, like
Still don't, but
still don't. But like
telling me to
I'm
kill
not
myself?
angry. No, I'm saying still
you've got
don't.
Bob, Leo, for like a couple more months.
Yeah, still don't do it. But like I'm not angry at you. I'm just like, oh, that's sad that happened in your life, that you felt that. But if you have people that are like your dependents, and then I'm like angry at you. I'm like, fuck you. Like.
Oh yeah, I mean, like
hell?
Chikai has like every reason to be angry at his parents for what they did.
Yeah.
For sure. And so, yeah, in order to survive, Chikai like joins up with like the local yakuza or whatever, and starts preaching to Toei that only bad people survive in this world. And right as they're about to like have to sell their soba shop because they're out of money, Chikai just shows up with a briefcase full of like cash, saying like he took back the shop and he's leaving the money to his relatives, and all he wants in return is for them to just take the shop over and keep it going. And so they do that. And so then we get to like the Kappa zombie corpse for the day, which is a soba shop owner who is named Sobadani Yudeo, who's been arrested for stealing used bathwater from a woman's home. And like you see, like when you see him stealing it, he's like collecting it into like jugs. So I immediately knew what he was using it for at that point, but you find out later.
Same here.
Yeah.
I think it was very, very obvious.
I love the song that they used for him, like the soba.
Oh yeah, soba. It was good, yeah. And when they sing later, when they're like, "We need to get the soba," oh, it's really good. So yeah, bowls of soba are like flying all over the city, blah blah blah, and like Toei sees that his relatives might be in trouble, so he has Kepi turn him into a kappa. They do the whole transformation sequence. And so they fight the soba maker, and when they extract the desire from his butt, they find out what he really wanted with the woman's bathwater was to make his soba broth with it because he thought it tasted better. And it's like, ooh.
Like, all right, dude, whatever. Like,
floats your boat.
Knocks your socks off or whatever.
So then they go into the Sarazanmai like leaking memory phase, and so Toei's memories leak out. And it shows the other guys like what went down with the Yakuza long ago. So the like Yakuza older brother wanted to shoot Chikai because he stole the money from them for the soba shop. And so Toei ends up running away from them because they're trying to capture him to like lure his brother. And the big like Yakuza guy finds him, and Toei had found the like handgun his brother had hidden in their desk at home, which was also like right next to like a picture of their family who are gone now, but his brother smiling happily and stuff. And Toei has that gun on him and shoots the Yakuza as he's coming towards him once. And then like his brother shows up and like gently takes the gun out of his hands and then like double taps the guy in the head to make sure it's done. And so that's the scene that we saw at the beginning, but we didn't realize that Toei actually shot him.
I think he shot him one more time too, just to like make it seem like he killed him.
Yeah.
To make it like, well, you shot him, but I killed him. Like to almost make it less on his brother.
Yeah, he takes the burden off his brother because he's like, I killed him. Like he makes a big deal of that. Like I killed that guy just now, because he doesn't want that on his brother's conscience. So they come back to Kepi, and Toei explains that he wants to be by his brother's side again. And like the strong don't care about things like justice; they just care about survival. And he also like threatens Enta and Kazuki like with a knife if they ever decide to like reveal this secret that they found out about. And after the credits, Kazuki offers his dish to Toei, saying he thinks he deserves it more than someone like him. And Enta asks like, why? If Kazuki cares about Haruka so much, like why would you do this? And Kazuki's like, actually, I hate Haruka. And that's like the cliffhanger for the episode, which is like, okay, where's that going? Interesting. But I assume he resents him for something, but that's
interesting.
I did not expect those words to come out of his mouth. So yeah. This was a good episode. It was a little dark for sure, but Toei, his character, he makes a little bit more sense to me now, given all this backstory. but I'm also like really, really curious where the show is going to go now that we know the backstory of the three main characters. And it seems it's going to follow Kazuki's story a bit more now, probably, and the idol. So we'll see.
I'm actually enjoying this a lot more than I thought I would. I just wish that they emphasized butt stuff a little less.
I mean, it wasn't like it's really been toned down since that first episode. Like this past episode is barely anything.
Did we discuss in this how the director gets his projects approved? Did we discuss that interview on here?
I don't think so. No.
So I read a just short article where what's his name? Because I don't know his name.
Kunihiko Ikuhara.
Yeah, someone asked him like, how do you get some of the very strange things that you do in your episodes approved? And he says, and I quote, well, I put together a synopsis of the points that I want, that are part of the plot, and then I take out all of the weird things, and I show them that, and they approve that, and then I add the weird things back later.
And they're like, "Wow, you approved
dude!" After it's been approved, and I'm just like, well. I mean, I can see how he gets it approved then.
Oh man!
But do you think they're all ever like angry after? They're
I
like,
assume
you didn't tell us about the butt stuff. Like,
I'm curious what the conversation was like after they saw that first episode on air. I'm curious, very curious.
So, in conclusion of my experiment of just trying to watch this episode drunk, it did not help. Basically, you remember the duck's face when there was a little boy up his asshole?
Yeah.
That was my face.
Oh, that's your face?
That was my face watching this. Just
the weird
pain.
lines that they do on the perverts for each episode, their butt is weird. Like the weird, like glowy, rave-like designs
glow in the dark.
that are like that are like in their butthole and like on their dick and shit. And I'm just like, what is this?
It is weird. I mean, everything about that is bizarre. Like, I won't disagree for sure. But I think the thing I like about the show right now is that it is kind of easy to follow, like, narratively, though. Like, now that, like, I've been in it for a few episodes, I get the structure, I get what's going on, I get the themes, like... It's really just a character story now, and we're just building out these characters and fleshing them out. So it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of fun with it.
So
I am not having any fun with it.
So Leo, tell us about the last show of the day.
Yeah,
Carole Tuesday.
Yay.
A good show. At least we get to end on a good show. Episode 4, Video Killed the Radio Star. Our crew, consisting of Carole Tuesday, Roddy, however you want to say it, and Gus, decide they need to make a music video and have it go viral to succeed. Because, I mean, that's what you do in this day and age. It doesn't change, 80 years in the future or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Fortunately, Roddy has found a super cheap AI robot that can do all the filming and editing for them for super cheap. Once it arrives via drone, which is pretty funny.
Amazon drone delivery.
The robot asks what kind of video they want, and everybody says basically damn near everything plus the kitchen sink. The list is crazy. They think it's impossible, but the robot's like, nah, I can do that. And he like gives them a list of things he needs, like 120 dancers, a hot guy, a convertible, a robot. These were some of the things they suggested.
Yeah, because they started just naming off all these things they wanted, which all felt like references to either music videos, like Thriller, or like movies and various other pop culture references. Yeah. And
it also wants beer because that's what it says it runs on. It's like biofuel or something.
It's like Bender. It's like Bender from Futurama.
And not the light beer either. Like
get the good
real
shit.
stuff.
And just like crazy enough, Gus is like, I think I can get these things. And they're like, oh, okay, really? That's pretty crazy. Gus goes to his favorite bar, and it turns out they asked his ex-wife, Maria, to meet up there. The two seem like get along just perfectly fine. He asks her if she can do like the hair and makeup for the girls' music video. And like she agrees on the premise that he pay her back when the girls make it big. He also kind of like casually asks about the other stuff. And she's just giving him that, are you an idiot fucking look? It's so good. The girls are trying to record something where they're trying to make up a song when like the AI robot is just like laughing away on the couch watching some video.
Oh, yeah.
The girls call him out and he says he is studying up on animation and he's totally watching Space Dandy on his phone. And it's on the screen. It's specifically the AI robot from the show QT who's on there.
Yeah,
So I was like,
that was really funny.
Well, the thing was, when I first heard this robot speak, it immediately made me think of that robot.
Oh, QT.
Because they sound so much alike, but I couldn't find a
Voice actor.
for this robot yet.
Okay.
QT has one, yeah. It was actually female, too. The crew has like a session where they try to iron out some of the things. Gus has a date in place for the girls to meet Maria and get that squared away. Rhodey brings some of his like robot models over that the AI robot says he can make appear big, and he can also do the animation because it doesn't seem that hard. And that's like a recurring joke, I think, for like the animators themselves.
Yeah,
because he says
not
it
that
like
hard. Yeah, it's
2
easy.
more times after this. He's like, I can do it.
Yeah.
It's like, are you sure? I don't think so.
Yeah, they still need to find like more dancers and an expensive car. And Rhodey decides to ask Ertegun to borrow one of his. And after some convincing, he finally gets one. But I remember he's like, "It's not for those girls, is it?" And he's like, "No." Yeah. So the girls finally go and meet Maria, and she like flat out kisses her girlfriend right in front of them. It's just like anime doesn't do this. That's awesome. It then just cue the montage of the girls trying on different outfits, which is kind of cute, and all of them just like working on props and stuff like that for the music video. It pretty much exhausts them all. They begin filming, and the AI robot seems to be kind of a nightmare director, but they appreciate it because he seems to know what he is doing. They also have Rhodey dance 120 times because they couldn't get more dancers, and they'll just edit it in.
Yeah.
The girls also get to sit down with Maria and talk about Gus. She also shows them like a picture of like a fit young him when he was younger.
Yeah, when he was a drummer. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was actually in shape and looked good. Alcohol really went bad for him.
I mean, if you work, anyone can be slightly attractive. So, just goes to show you.
And it's just funny because Maria then like asks like, "Oh, do you guys have any boyfriends or girlfriends?" And like, "Hey, I can hook you up. I know somebody." They eventually finish up shooting, and we see the robot gloating in the tub about fooling them. And then like Gus and Maria go out for drinks again and like have a really good heart to heart. And then Maria also tells Gus that she's getting remarried, and he tells her he hopes she finds happiness this time. And that's when that chick pulls up on the motorcycle, and she's like, "Ride's here."
Yeah.
Oh my God. They sit down to watch the music video, and Rudy didn't come because he is sad about his robot models getting destroyed. He also suddenly sees the news report of an AI robot scamming people so it can stay in their homes. And he's like, "Oh shit, is that damn robot?" And then we get to see the music video, and it's such total dog shit.
Oh, yeah.
It's got like random people being in scenes. There's terrible, terrible CGI. There's like a 2-year-old's version of like animation. I feel like the animators had a lot of fun with this episode because of like him being like, "Oh, the animation will be easy," and then they got to make this piece of shit literally because that's what they had to do. Like I guess seen them like, "Oh my God, let's do terrible CGI. This will be the best."
It was honestly like a great piece of shit music video, though. You know?
Yeah. They end up like just shipping that stupid robot back, and I guess also Ertgoon's car got like completely
It
destroyed.
just gets hit like by like a missile or something at the end of the music video. It's like, where did they get that?
I don't know.
Yeah, there was like one shot in the music video that I actually thought was really cool where Angela and Carol are looking in a mirror and then see the animated versions of themselves. And like Leo was saying, the animation is pretty terrible, but it was like just really cool how they like zoomed in on that. And a friend of mine who goes by Frenzied Hero posted on Reddit about this and pointed out that this is totally a reference to Aha's music video Take On Me, where they see like the animated black and white versions of themselves in the mirror.
As soon as you started bringing that up, I'm like, "Oh, no. Is he really going what he's going to do?"
Yeah. There's so many references. Like, well, when they're dancing, the girls are dancing in the music video. They're using like the same dance moves as from the dance montage in the library from Breakfast Club when they're all in detention. And so that's the same thing. And like, I don't know. I just loved it. I also love that part of the episode where Carol's like describing what she wants the music video to be like, and she starts dancing like Thriller, and then she starts like pumping her arms like if it's like West Side Story or something. I don't know. It's great. And also, I don't know if you caught it, but like the early sign that this director AI maybe was not so great was that they're looking at its like eBay page or whatever, and it has like 2,000 reviews and they're 1 star. So you knew something bad was happening there.
Yeah,
maybe
even
it's just the one AI and it's just been bought that many times and sent back that many times.
Yeah, right. I guess so. If it's a scam artist, yeah, for sure.
Well, and also like the owl alarm clock is constantly suspicious. So
Yeah, he's always got his eye on him. There's that one funny time where like the beer robot's in like the bath and like he sees the owl robot and like reaches out and grabs him and he's like, "Oh, only thing you can say to me is hoot. Say hoot again." And he does and he like starts like waving him around. It's like, this is so funny. That was pretty cute. But yeah, the kid style animation, like when they had that unfinished like cut of 3D CGI where like Carole and Tuesday were playing but they weren't moving at all, and Tuesday didn't even have hair, it was just like a bald model. That was the best. I was just done at that point. It was so good.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what they do from here though, because like they've tried twice, like both routes. They've failed miserably. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see going forward how they break out and start to become popular. So yeah,
because we're on episode 4 now, so like they really need to pick up. Although I've not felt anything's rushed. So
yeah, and,
it's a 24
and
episode
it's 2
show,
core,
Kat.
so like they have time for episodes like this where they could just have fun and make a whole bunch of music video references and just
which I like that they have time for it because
Yes.
I'd rather them draw it out.
Yeah, one of the things like Leo and I were noticing, and I think I was talking to Frigimon Fanatic as well about this on Discord, that like there's the trend back to more 24 episode anime right now. It's weird, but we've been seeing a bunch right now, which
Good.
we've been asking for, because then they have time to flesh out the writing and have fun episodes like this as well.
Yeah, because think about some of our favorite shows like
Golden Kamuy.
or but also like the one where they camp.
Hero Camp, yeah.
Yeah, like wouldn't we have loved it if it was 24 episodes?
Well, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, or like the one the Rokuhodo. I would have loved that if it was 24 episodes. Maybe
Yeah, they
would have
needed more time for
resolved
that.
arc.
Yeah. There's so many anime we get to the end of, and they're like, they needed more time to actually do this justice. And
Yeah, some of them I really think even if they were just 18 episodes would do better. Like even just a arc and a half.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm happy for those shows that actually take the time and give the anime what it needs.
Yeah. And it's too bad that they're tied to the TV format, so it's like sometimes it's either has to be 12 or it has to be 24, because like it's like a time slot they have to fill, right? So it's nice,
so you either have to have like filler episodes where not much is happening, or you have to speed through.
Right.
Yeah.
So that hurts a little bit. So, but like I guess more anime going to Netflix sort of helps out with that. So and this is a Netflix anime, so obviously it doesn't matter that much, but it is airing on TV as well. So it'll be in that format. Anyway, anything else you guys noticed from this episode?
No, I enjoyed it a lot. I just have the ending song stuck in my head so terribly. Like the "Hold me now, I'm finally fulfilled," and then like the "Pick me up to dance and pick me up again."
Yeah, it's not like you guys were both singing the damn song before we started.
And didn't that play over the music video too? Like they used that song.
yeah.
for the
Yeah, it
music
was that
video.
one.
That was cool.
It's so catchy. Like it will get stuck in your head with a terrible earworm, and you will not be able to stop humming it. It will be obnoxious.
All right, before we continue to be obnoxious, Leo, end this podcast.
Yay. Thanks, guys, for listening. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe to us on YouTube to get updates on new podcasts or videos. You can also find our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and Stitcher. All those places. And we're also on Twitter and remember for updates as well. obviously come and hang out in our Discord.
Yeah.
They were just picking on me a minute ago before we recorded, so there's always that. They made me change my picture. I couldn't be a sock puppet creature anymore.
It was time.
It was
Let's
time.
admit it.
Yeah.
With that, we'll see everybody next time.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.